Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate everyone being here for this. Before we get started, let's just run through everybody. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your role at your company, and what you're building.
Yeah, I'm Adam. I'm CEO of Warped Games. We're building Warped Universe. It's a single player and co-op PvE game where you can choose the genre of the missions you play, starting with real-time action and turn-based strategy. So if you want to get in the action and like Helldivers or Fortnite, you can do that. Same missions, same items, characters, maps. If you like D&D or like XCOM style of turn-based, you can do that as well.
Hi, Doron, Gameplay Galaxy. We're building Trial Extreme, motorcycle racing games. We've been in the space, if you can call it like that, gaming space, in the last 20 years since mobile was invented. The game Trial Extreme had 350 million downloads as a Web2 game. When we met the Web3 opportunity, we saw it as the next evolution of gaming, and probably we should speak about it later. But we went all in and decided to design a game that will be free-to-play, mobile free-to-play game that will evolve into a Web3 experience for the end user.
I'm Jin from the NHN, leading the blockchain game business. NHN is one of the South Korea's leading gaming studio. We are lacking with the social casual games, casuals, like Mexican puzzle games, and all different genres we are developing on. And currently we are working on the project Pebble, is our blockchain project, and we are our goal is to bridging a gap between the Web 2 and Web 3 by using the 3 network and technology, all that stuff. It's a free-to-play social casual stock game, easy to play. It's recently launching last week, and luckily we've been hitting 1 million transactions within 3 days, and hope to getting better results in future. Yes, thank you.
And happy birthday, Jin, again. I told him I would embarrass him up here, so yeah. And congratulations on the launch. So jumping right into the topic at hand here, why do you think we haven't seen that major mass hit that everyone's been expecting in Web3 gaming? Is it a problem with the games that have come out thus far? Is it an issue with the blockchain technology, the user experience, something else? I'd love to just go down the line with this one.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the simple answer, and it's also difficult, is it's time. It just takes time and iteration to make, especially new technology, with a mass market. You can see that with free-to-play games. League of Legends kind of made that more accessible and popular, but people were scoffing at that. Mobile games, same things. Even skins were not really thought of as something that gamers wanted until Counter-Strike really made it a thing. You need these certain games to kind of bring a community together and revitalize it and make it a thing. But that takes time to get a good game to come to market and build a community around it.
That's great.
I think it's a question of maturity of the design of the game economy. What we saw in the beginning are games that just added the Web3 aspect, NFTs, etc., on an existing game without thinking about the game design and the economy.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you saw crypto teams that are building a game as an excuse for the tokenomics. So not really a game experience. There are many iterations, right? And nobody found the right balance of how to do it. And when we started the journey into the Web3, we decided that we are not taking an existing game and just putting a layer of Web3 on top of it, but we are designing the game using an existing IP, of course, but designing the game from the beginning and building the economy in a way that the users start the journey as a free-to-play game, nothing to do with Web3, and we just introduce step by step the Web3 features as something that will be interesting for the users. So I think nobody really found the formula yet of how to present it in a way that will bring the mass markets, but we're launching in the summer, so it will be solved.
for my thought, personally, same thought as Adam said. So I think it's just market's not ready yet, because I'm sure pretty much everyone who's here playing mobile games, like Web2 mobile games or PC games. And I'm also one of the game guys, so I played over 20 years on the World of Warcraft and some kinds of mobile games. As you know, even though free-to-play game, mobile games, you kind of have enough purchase to willing to pay to play the game just for fun. And after you get bored, sometimes you quit the game, but no one, no ordinary gamers actually expect to get the return out of the game company. So it should be same happening for Web3, but as you know, in the Web3 gamers, I won't say gamers, but users' point of view, they are, whenever they heard the new games coming out, or even though they purchase a game token or an NFT, they're not dealing as a game itself, but they're trying to looking for ROIs and starting to calculate on how can they earn money or return the money fast enough. So I think it's that time is not ready yet, because I see, as we launch our game, I see the data that the gamers are actually coming to the Web3, and the number is increasing, but I think the number is not enough. So until the more Web2 users are coming to Web3, I think we should keep building the interesting game or fun games to bring more players, bring more real gamers to the place, I think.
I agree.
It's interesting. I think there was a common theme across all three of you of we're moving from blockchain or Web3 gaming into just gaming. And it's almost like they're separate audiences at this point, Jin, I think to your point. But I'm curious how you think about, to reiterate something that came up in Aaron's keynote, how do you think about the integration points for Web3 that will enable Web2 users to have new player experiences? So in other words, how are you thinking about using the technology to bridge that gap from Web3 gamers to just gamers in these experiences? This is open for anybody.
Yeah, that's the challenge, right? That's everybody's challenge. We are all coming from gaming. We know that game first. We need to create a fun game, something that users will want to play because it's fun. That's the first. That's the entry point. If the game is fun, then technology doesn't mean anything. Nobody that plays a game cares if you are on Google Cloud or AWS or on Microsoft. It's just the backend. For the user, it's the user experience. And if we shall manage to build a seamless user experience that is translated into advanced or new game experiences, we won. The user doesn't care that it's called Web3 or what's the technology, if it's running on Sui or running on Ethereum, or nobody cares. I care if my character can do something else, or if I spent $500 in the game and I collected a lot of items and I'm bored with the game now, can I just sell all the items and move to the next game? Or I can trade and I can play 2 months, collect something, sell it to someone else. That's new experiences that don't exist today in the gaming world. And that's exciting.
Yeah, I think an issue was previously, 5 years ago, and even recently, but is games and game projects were building marketplaces before the games. And you're not going to be able to have people buying your assets and utilizing it if you don't have a game to use it in. People come in, buy it, sell it, get out of there, and move on to the next one. Secondary markets will pop up no matter what, even Web2 or Web3, with a good game and a good community that wants to play it. They'll figure out a way to trade assets, and you can see that all these third-party marketplaces for Web2 games. You want to build a good game, and then it's just a natural progression. If you give them the pathways of blockchain, they'll get familiar with it, and they'll utilize it because they want to trade on a good game. So it's really fun, good game first, and give them the abilities to trade. Because they're gonna find a way no matter what.
Yes, true. And also, as you know, traditional Web2 games are having operating within closed ecosystem, not like the blockchain system. So even though it's a closed ecosystem, the user already having a black market to trade their assets and stuff. So they already know the system. So it's just like need to introduce the blockchain system so they can actually don't have to do it in the back end. Yeah. So with those kind of marketplace or tradable asset that we have, then it just need time to get user to familiar with it, I think.
100%. And there are games like your game that are just a natural fit for the Web3 because slot machine and mini gambling, etc. These are just built for the Web3. Where it's coming to games that are outside of the slot machine, social casino, etc., it requires some market education of how do you really onboard them. But the gap in the social casino and slot machine games doesn't exist really. It's something that was just waiting for this to happen.
Yeah.
I think something really interesting has come up. It's one of my favorite topics as you talked about closed ecosystems and marketplaces. I'd love to hear the group's thoughts on interoperability. We hear this word thrown around a lot. I think there's early hopes that this was going to be take your assets from game to game, but we haven't seen it yet. Do you feel like this is a tech problem, a business problem, a user problem? I'd love to dig in on this a bit.
I mean, we're already doing it. It's just it's not as mainstream yet, but just like with gifted art out there, they're doing NFTs. You can go and scan it and get an asset, and we put a sweet helmet in our game that's on that, and we don't have to verify that on their database that they have that asset. We just check on chain, and if you have that, it can be in our game, and so. It's already out there. The database is out there for everyone to see, and we can put it into our games. We don't have to directly talk to other studios and get access to what they have. It's there, and so we can allow players to come into our game that are in other games and give them perks and give them abilities to access areas in our game because we like that community. And so it's already happening. It's just grassroots right now more.
Pretty much same thought. It's already happening, but I think it's kind of, how can I put it this way? Let me think.
Jin, while you think, I can jump in with something. I think it's really interesting what you commented where you don't necessarily need permission from the other company to scan their item and give benefit in your game. Mm-hmm. So I think there's been a heavy focus on collaboration and being able to take the same item, say a sword from one game to another, but being able to reward someone for being a member of a different community or game is actually a quite interesting user acquisition strategy. You could say, hey, if you
super
own
interesting.
If you own a Pudgy Penguin, you can come over into a completely different game and be rewarded for being a holder, whether Pudgy Penguins knows that or not.
Yeah, I think it opens the way for many new business models that didn't exist in the Web2 market because data is open for everybody, right? Nobody can keep the information. I think the vision of the same character will move between different games, or the sword will move. That's far ahead if it will ever happen. And it's very complicated in terms of game experience and style, etc. But the ability to, one, user acquisition, and two, you can really cooperate between different, of course, different games within the same publisher, but also different publishers, because again, all the information is open on the blockchain. So very interesting new business models are coming.
I really love Web3 gaming because it has the ethos of blockchain that I fell in love with, when I got into blockchain, where people are it's DIY, people are able to do whatever they want, and they build communities and they build these systems how they think it should work. And I see the same thing happening with Web3 gaming now. It's a natural evolution. First, we had to build the blockchain systems, the protocols, and now we're building the games that utilize them, and we're using the same methodology. Community, working together, and figuring out together. So it's awesome.
Awesome. Jin, I wanted to come back to you as well.
Yeah, as a game studio, it's one of the key points that we've been doing and managing for over 20 years. Like maintaining the value of the game currency is one of the key. Because if we want to maybe sending the asset from the casual games to maybe a AAA genres of game, then it's kind of hard to sync those like gaming value between the games itself. So for us, it's really hard for the game balancing those kind of stuff itself. That's why it would be taking a long time to do that. So that's why it's not happening yet, but pretty sure some of them or some of us may be trying to solve the issue to make it happen.
Yep. That's super interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of new business models and ways to engage players across the ecosystem as we evolve. We talk a lot about the benefit to players. I'd actually love to focus a little bit on the benefit to developers. So what KPIs or particular metrics are you looking to see improve through integration with Web3? I'd love to learn a little bit more about what you think it will do for your player base and how it'll improve your overall game performance.
I can start. I think I'll divide it to two. One, I think we'll have new KPIs coming, and it won't be limited to the KPIs that we are currently measuring ourselves in the Web2 gaming. Obviously, the retention, the engagement, etc., is always the base of everything. I expect Web3 features or the Web3 functionality in the game to affect each one of them. It's the retention, the duration, the engagement, how many times, how frequent, how long, but also the conversion and ARPU pool, because when you spend money and you know that you can cash out when you stop playing the game, it will make your decision to spend money much easier. Because even if you don't get 100% back, you get only 70% back or 50% back, it's still very different from the market today that you make an in-app purchase and that's it. You lost 100% of your money. And if we'll be able to present a model where when you cash out, you have a chance to make 10x on the in-app purchase that you've made because you got a very good bike or your new rider now is top one and you were the first fan for this rider, then that's a new experience, right? And this is why I'm saying we are going to have new KPIs and very new business models coming to the market.
Yeah, I'm interested in the second-hand market for assets and it being transparent. You don't know what's happening on Web2 and who's buying where, and you can't track it. But if everybody, studios and players, can look on chain and see the transparency of it, there's going to be more people wanting to do it. They're going to feel more comfortable. They're not going to have a banned account because they bought some item from some store. And seeing that progression of the market is really interesting to me.
Even for us, it's kind of new. Everything is new, kind of new. NFT, all that stuff is new. So we created an NFT as a kind of membership inside of game, and we didn't expect. We recently did a pre-sale on the NFT, and to be honest, we didn't expect maybe 5% of the NFT buyers actually coming to the game because they are not familiar with installing the mobile games. They are not willing to play the game. But somehow, as we check the data, over 50% of the NFT buyers actually install the game and send their NFT to the game to play the slot. And from there, they have more retention than the user we are getting from the user acquisition marketing and stuff. So we were kind of shocked also. And that way, with the blockchain technology, may improve our retention rate than we expected.
I think we'll continue to see very interesting different implementations. And Doron, you brought up a great point. We don't even necessarily know what the KPIs will be that we care about in the next 5 years. So we're definitely on an interesting path. I think, Adam, you brought up an interesting point too of moving from gray markets, so to speak, into directly embeddable or official marketplaces. I mean, these are paradigms that users are already used to. So I think starting where you're starting is kind of the base point, but who knows where we'll be 5 years from now. So moving into that topic, as we've got about 5 minutes left here, I'd love to walk through what you think, kind of getting to our original point, the catalyst for mass adoption of Web3 tech in gaming will be. Will it come from a smaller studio or from one of you? Or will it come from a major AAA? And what will it take to get AAAs diving in, particularly in the West? Because we see so much innovation like NHN out of the East. What's the catalyst really going to be for that mass adoption inflection point for our industry?
GTA 6.
So it's a high bar for us at SWE, yes.
Yeah, like I think I said before, like I think a polished, known title is going to, definitely help it because it has helped the doubters of various new technical, changes in gaming. But I do think that there's been a lot of experimentation with Web3 gaming, and I think we're getting out of the experimentation phase and now into the implementation, and we're going to see a lot of more legitimate studios building. And as I said before, like it just takes time to build a good game, and we're getting into that time phase, and I think we're going to start seeing some good games coming out, and that's going to change some minds because there wasn't a lot of good games before, and that creates doubt. And the more foundation that's solid, it's going to convince other studios to come in too and say, hey, it's proof that this works. We haven't had a lot of proof yet, and we need to build it to have that proof. And
we're moving from that period of Web3 natives thinking the gaming part was easy to game developers working on new player experiences through development. So that's a good point.
Yeah, I think because we've been in this space since the Stone Age, more or less, we saw three transitions happening in the gaming market. The first one was to mobile in general, and it wasn't a clear cut. People didn't believe it's going to be that big. And then from J2ME to iOS and Android, and then from premium to freemium. And I think that the transition that we're seeing now from free to play to Web3 is going to be the biggest transition, and it's going to be the fastest. It didn't start yet. We're still in the exploration stage of it, but it's inevitable, and it's going to happen. Who will make it exactly? I don't think it will come from the AAA. They are sitting on the sidelines waiting for us to burn our efforts till we make it, and they will just buy their way into the game. I don't know the genre, etc. I believe it will be mobile, just because of the numbers. That will be the catalyst. And it's the company that will find, and this is why we spend so many efforts in the flawless, in how easy it is for a Web2 user to be introduced to the Web3 features in the gamified way. The one that will manage to do it in a very easy way will be the catalyst, and after that, things will move very fast.
For me, I think like best adoption will be starting with for the gaming genre. I think like easy, accessible games like casuals or even racing is easy to play, and everyone knows we don't need have long tutorial to introduce about the game. Is for the racing, the fastest is winning the game. So that part, or also like he just said, we're going to definitely starting from the mobile because it's easy to access, and also even the console like Switch Play, that kind of stuff. The platform and the game genre will be definitely starting the mass adoption of blockchain gaming, I think.
Amazing. Well, if anybody's going to do it, it's these three here. Adam's company's got one of the deepest integrations of SWE I think we've ever seen. Doron's company is one of the most anticipated games of the year, and Jin just hit 1 million transactions in 3 days with NHN. So we're hoping that they'll be the catalyst to drive everything forward. So we're down to our final minute here. Any closing thoughts?
I think on your last question and closing out, I think SWE is allowing us to actually innovate as a game studio, whereas before we were building on other chains, we had to figure out loopholes or cutting out things where we just had to do it off-chain. We had a currency that we just kept on a database because it was way too hard to figure out. And now with building with SWE, it's invigorating us to come up with new ideas. And now we're trying to fit things in and I think we are biting off a lot to chew on, and it's exciting to build on a chain that inspires us essentially. So I think that the tech is getting to that point, and now studios like us are able to build a game that we can really implement blockchain into it in an effective way.
Awesome.
I'll keep short because we're out of time.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, first, we're going to make it. There's no question the market is quite sad now with Web3 gaming, but it have good reasons why the market is in this stage, and we don't have time to speak about it. But we're going to win, and gaming will be the catalyst of the Web3 and the blockchain to the masses. And yeah, I want to join with good word on Sui. We've been working with Sui since the beginning, more or less. Our beginning, Sui's beginning.
Before my time, yeah.
Yeah, and putting gaming in such a good place, and look at the event that you guys put here, and putting gaming in the center of the ecosystem will pay off very soon. So yeah, well done, and thank you.
Thank you. Jin, any closing thoughts?
Okay. We are also working with the Sui over 2 years now, and we've been reviewing all the different chains, maybe or 20 different chains. And as you know, for our genre of game, the transaction speed really matters. So back then, Sui was the fastest and still fastest chain existing right now. And not like other chains, Sui is really into the games. They are making their own devices and all the stuff. And they are also having this great gaming summit. So we hopefully working together and pretty much bring all the great results within the Sui chain soon.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Give them a round of applause. Thank you very much.